Hi there, and welcome on the journey to transform culture. I'm Steve, and I'll be your guide. Well, folks, I've done quite a few videos to this point outlining some of the struggling areas of struggle, right, within organizations, be they functional, people oriented leadership. It doesn't matter what end of the spectrum we're talking about within a team. We've talked about quite a few topics, not every topic, of course, and there's more to go. But today I want to focus a little bit more on a realization to head us toward a solution, right? To kind of drive us toward a solution, but by creating an awareness, okay? And that is, and I'll use an example. I put a slide out recently, actually, that I came up with last fall, and then had it re uh, processed this year in 2025 to validate, and essentially it didn't really move. US businesses are pretty much in the 70% effective category. And so if you look at that, what does that mean? It means that everything above and beyond the difference between 70, what's preventing them from being at 100, right? And it's ineffective, a lack of effectiveness and, and waste and a lack of lean or effective processes, right? And consistency and so forth. And that, a lot of the topics we've delved into so far have dealt with the human side of this, the organizational culture, which is by far the majority of where the issues are generated for a multitude of reasons. But let's just talk about the numbers for a minute. So if we're saying statistically that 70% effectiveness in the US, what does that mean? That means essentially the difference, the 30%. That 30% is the area where you do have some material waste, which counts for, and some regulation, which accounts for about 6% of that 30, right? So every 6% of that 30, that represents 20% of the total 30, okay? 5 times 20, right? Being 100, 5 times 6% is 30. See where I'm going with that? Okay. So if we just lop off 6% off that 100, we go, okay, this is an inherent waste to material. It doesn't mean we can't improve upon it, but by and large, it's going to be marginal, very marginal improvement. What does that leave us with? Okay, we lop off 6% off the 100, that puts us at 94. Okay, well, we can say that the maximum that we could ever, if we were pretty much spot on perfect, would be 94%. But we are human beings and we do grow and we do have natural things that do occur, and we're not perfect. So let's lop off another 6%, which is another 20. So right now I've done 20 and 20. I've lopped off 40% of that 30, okay? If you're following. That takes 6 and then another 6%. That puts us at 88%, right? So we're at 88% effectivity, accounting for some inherent costs of some waste that we, marginally can improve upon, very marginally, in regulation, and then the other 6%, we're saying human factors. Okay, well, if I'm taking 20%, now I'm left with 60%. Well, 60%. Okay, and I'm sitting at 88. So the difference between 70, which is how effective we are now, and 88% is 18%, right? 18%, and that's 60% of what's left on the table that we can improve upon. So when you're looking at this and you say, okay, well, what's practical? Well, what's practical is 50%. We can improve and clean up 50% of our ineffectiveness, which also translates into quality, but also reducing waste and so forth. So if that's that 50%, right, takes us down to 85. All right, from 70 to 85 is what? 15%. to improve your organization's effectiveness by 15% from where it is now, think about what that relates to in culture. You're really talking about for very small. We're talking a few handful or less of employees, up to say 50 to 100. You're talking anywhere from 300 and some thousand to 2.5 million. Okay, in waste, and and uh, and that's the 50%. Okay, so and you look at this and you go, okay, if I improve 15%, you get 15% better than I am now. That puts us at 85. 85 now becomes your new 100%. If you could hit 85, then you're doing pretty good, right? We're not perfect, but we're always striving, and we can always uh, improve upon things. But 15% is laying on the table. Now, why do we need to do that? Well, right now we're passing the cost, that 30% difference from 70 to 100, we're passing that straight on to consumers. And this is another reason why inflation is so hideous, right? We're passing that, we'll say, we'll take off that 6% because of regulation and scrap. We're passing along 24% of that straight on to consumers. And that means consumers are paying more for goods and services. So if we were to save, improve upon that 70 and hit 85, what does that mean? Well, it means you can give a little bit of a break to your customers, right? Because obviously we want to be competitive, and also we have an economy to to manage, and for people to be able to thrive in this economy. There's that side of the house. Then you have a team that's working for you that may have not seen a pay raise in a long time, or behind the curve on their progression, their career progression, monetarily and otherwise, right? And some of that also, the other third of that going to the organization, and then maybe a shade in between all three of those categories to provide a development program that helps to sustain, build, grow, and improve upon what you're doing now. So as you grow and as things expand and your business improves, because remember, when you do this, when you improve your current output, your current productivity total by 15 more percent, that's significant. But when you do that, now you're able to invest, right? Now you're able to do these things. Part of the reason why I took what I've done in organizations and put it into a structure, I'm still on the hunt for a VC that would help me to create the software version of what I do, because I believe it is the most efficient and effective way to build your team, make your processes in your organization functionally more effective, and sustain it. This is a category that often doesn't get addressed, is sustainability. You see oftentimes where larger businesses with multiple sites, so forth, where they will hire a firm for a lot of money to go out, and they'll do some workshops and do all these things, and then they leave, and the organization does fine for a month or maybe two if you're lucky. And then after that, things start to trickle off. People, because there isn't buy-in, because they're designed for the top three people in an organization, who are typically the leaders. But the leaders, if not given the proper I'll say the proper tools, techniques, and all these things to be able to grow their team, to coach their team, right? Then it doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to sustain anything if you can't develop, coach your team, because it takes your entire team to grow. It takes your entire team to do these things. You can't. No one person can do it alone. Which this is why it's somewhat of a fallacy when you see, and I'm not poo-pooing continuous improvement personnel. Been there, done that. But you cannot obfuscate anything to one person. It's always going to be about the entire team's effort. This is why the entire team gets credit when things improve. So just think about that. In your heart of hearts, oh, I know there's, walking through your site, walking through your organization, I know we can improve 15%. Absolutely, you could. But how? How do you do it? This is where I come in. I am set up to come into an organization and to put them through the system, the course, if you want to call it a course, but there's some training, but also we do events, right? We do events to make some improvements and then build up your team's capabilities. Beyond that, I am looking for a VC who would be interested in helping me to get the software developed to be able to provide this in an exponential fashion into all of culture as much as possible to help alleviate. Because here's the thing, folks, you can improve one or two or a handful of organizations. It's not going to make a dent in the entire United States economy unless we can give folks enough of the tools at an affordable price to be able to get them to be self-sustaining, effective, and to be able to manage the growth along with the improvement as they go, right? They can't be calling big firms back, every year or every quarter to come at. They're spending way too much money on that stuff. It's excessive. And on top of that, you become codependent on the firm. So this is another reason why I've come up with the system the way I've have introduced it before on a case-by-case basis as I've gone along in different organizations. So anyway, the importance of improving isn't just to improve. Change isn't change for change's sake. There are legitimate things that happen within our economy. And remember, go back to the core of the entire argument. Why? Why would we do this? We're all here to protect love. Significant others, our families, our friends, our civic organizations, our communities. We and everything we do, touch, the time we spend, everything we do, even if you don't interact much, you are touching all of the community. And when we do that, we're protecting love by being engaged, involved, and working with and cooperating with each other to build culture into a more positive thing overall, right? More safe environment, more thriving culture. And that's what we want. And this is another reason why I say get that good domino 3 to 5 times a day or more to uplift, motivate, inspire, and just encourage folks. And when you do that, not only are we helping to transform culture overall for the better, not just organizations, but the entire culture, but we're also improving our own lives at the same time. And we're protecting love in our own lives by doing these things. All right, folks, hit like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.